All right, Shalom to the elect of Israel. I'm going to start by giving all the praises, honor, and glory to whom rightfully belongs, which is Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, every well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect. Take a look at this.
Do this for every single one of you American citizens. We burn this flag in protest to that president feels that it's his right to do whatever he wants, make whatever law he wants, regardless if it's legal or illegal. It is our First Amendment right to burn this flag, regardless of what the president says. Yep, I'm being detained because I expressed my First Amendment right to burn the United States flag in public, not causing harm or causing any danger to any citizens or personnel in the area.
All right, and so this lesson, today I woke up, right, and I saw this on my news feed, man. It's like, when you wake up here in Babylon, man, it's just always something. Okay, prophecy ain't stopping for nobody, but it says Trump suggests Americans open to a dictator. This President Donald Trump said Monday that he thinks Americans may like a dictator, though he wouldn't describe himself as one. They say we don't need him. Freedom, he's a dictator, right? It says Trump told reporters at the Oval, and some people think, Trump is a dictator. It says Trump told reporters at the Oval Office, a lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with a great common sense and a smart person. Trump's remarks came as he signed a raft of executive orders, including one in which he tasked Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to lead the training of specialized National Guard unit dedicated to ensuring public safety in Washington, D.C. Says the president's... So now we're talking about, how they're saying that basically now it's referring to, what he just did, authorizing National Guard in D.C., etc. It says the president's deployment of National Guard to Washington, D.C., and threats to deploy the National Guard to other Democratic-led cities purportedly to crack down on crime, despite decreasing of crime rates, have raised concerns about his authoritarian tendencies and presidential overreach. Now, this word authoritarian, right? It says favoring or enforcing strict obedience to authority, especially that of the government, at the expense of personal freedom, right? So basically, authoritarian is basically going into, making people submit to your demands. Having a rulership like that, an authoritarian rulership is, making people submit to your demands. Okay, like a dictatorship. You see, and the guy you saw in the video, he seemed fed up. Okay. He seemed fed up, and he burned the flag. Which, by the way, brothers, don't burn no flag, man. All right, because that's a federal crime, I believe. We hate this place, but still, don't burn no flag, man. All right, you could catch some jail time over that. But I was thinking about some things, and I recently, went through a chapter, right? So now Trump, they're saying he's a dictator, okay? And now before I move on, I want to get a certain scripture. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 19 and verse 4. And the Egyptians, the Egyptians are people who live in Egypt, but I'm just saying that's what the term, when you hear the word Egyptians, you would think people that's living in Egypt, right? Well, America is the modern day Egypt. This is talking about, so the people who live in America are, what? The modern day Egyptians, So this is talking about the Americans, the American people, right? It says, in the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord, Yahweh of hosts. So the Lord, has given these Americans into the hand of a very cruel, and fierce ruler. Okay. And we believe that, man. We believe Donald Trump to be, we basically, saying, like, here at GMS, we basically saying, like, that he has to be it. Okay. He fits it perfectly. He fits the signs of it. Showing signs of a dictatorship, doing whatever he wants to do. Okay. And all these harsh decrees and everything, right? So, and then he says people are saying they want a dictatorship. Now, Trump, now when you deal with the word dictator, you just look it up. Definition, it says a ruler with total power over a country, typically one who has obtained control by force, right? But then also it says a person who behaves in an autocratic way, if I'm saying that word properly. And autocratic means relating to a ruler who has absolute power or taking no account of other people's wishes or opinions. Domineering. Domineering means asserting one's will over another in an arrogant way. And Trump does that all the time. Trump is an arrogant person, a prideful person. You just hear it in the way that he talks as well. You see? And Trump is willing, to go past certain government rules, right? In case, even all under the name of calling himself making America great again, right? And trying to, bring Babylon back. You see? So, he's doing this, trying to say that he's making all these measures trying to say that that's what he's doing, right? However, these things are really doing it more bad, okay? Because ultimately, as the scriptures say, keep this in mind, man, because in the past, ancient kingdoms and all of that, when you had these great kingdoms and great rulers, a lot of the people under them, like ordinary people would look at them like, they're the man in charge running everything. You see? But scriptures have shown us in the past that the ancient kingdoms and all that, the Lord was still in control even over them. You see, the Lord is the one that's really causing all this stuff to happen. Don't forget Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, just because this is a great kingdom. Proverbs 21:1, the king's heart, which is Hebrew word for heart is lab, which means mind, is in the hand of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. As rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Okay, so the minds of these rulers are controlled by the Lord. Their thoughts, right, which their thoughts lead to their actions, and their actions lead, all right, to affecting the rest of the people. Whatever they do, the rest of the people are going to get affected by. You see? So, ultimately it's the Lord, having his will being performed, okay? What he wants done, which is ultimately prophecy, is going to happen, okay? And there's certain measures that's being stepped and taken into, fulfilling that, okay? Now, so Trump, definitely does fit that cruel Lord and fierce king position, right? But also I wanted to bring something out, right? Now, as we know, because Apostle Tahar stated that Trump basically is Emperor Nero coming back in the reincarnation, right? And, you look at this is similar to Trump's, appearance. Okay, look at this, man. Oh, Shalakia. Now I gotta get up out of here. Shalakia, man. Whoa. But the bird scared the shit out of me, man. Shalakia. But, this is similar to his appearance. Okay? And it's no coincidence, when you look up about the stuff, certain stuff he did, what you're about to see, it sounds like, some, it sounds like something that, TRUMP would do. Okay? Go see if I can relocate back to where I was. Right? So Nero, was a former Roman emperor. And the scriptures, talk about, Roman emperor, 12 of them, at least. This is 2nd Ezra 11 and 1. Right, I'm going to just read this verse. It says, "Then saw I a dream," this is Ezra's talking. It says, "And behold, there came up from the sea an eagle, right, which had 12 feathered wings and 3 heads." Right, and these 12 feathered wings, right, is talking about, the 12 Roman emperors. And the 3 heads, you have something known as the first triumvirate, all right, or however you pronounce that, right? But the 12 heads, the 12 feathered wings is the 12 Roman emperors, and one of those emperors is Nero, man. Okay, and he had his time to rule and everything. But now when you go here, right, it says, so I typed in, "Was Nero a tyrant?" Now it says yes, Emperor Nero is widely considered a tyrant. Though this view is partly shaped by historical propaganda from the Flavian dynasty, ancient sources depict him as cruel, corrupt, and indulgent. And notorious acts, including the murder of his mother, 2 wives, and the great persecution of Christians after the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD. Now, I'm going to read over that again, but, to get all the hair off the chicken, right, I want to make something clear. Now, one, look, man, this should tell you we living in Rome again, okay? Look, America is Rome coming back, man. Ain't no doubt about that, boy. All right? Let me just get something real quick. This is the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter. And, Slovakia. Actually, hold on. What's this? All right, Revelation chapter 13. Right? And I'll give verse 15. I'll get some Blue Letter Bible, actually. Bear with me 1 second. It says, "And he had power to give life unto..." Actually, I'm gonna read verse 14. It says, "And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live." Now the image is talking about what? Now when you go to the word image here, right, the Greek word is icon. It says an image, figure, likeness, right? And it said an image to what? It said an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did heal. And when you go to verse 3, it says, "And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast." Now, this is talking about ancient Rome, because ancient Rome is that head that was wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, because it fell during the ancient Western Roman Empire. That fell, and then you had the Dark Ages, right? And then you had the Renaissance, to where Esau came back in power. All right, ancient Rome was an Edomite-ruled empire. Esau fell during the time of the ancient Western Roman Empire, right? Then you had the Middle Ages that followed. And after that, you had the Renaissance period where Esau came back in power. The Middle Ages, Jake was ruling in Europe. Esau, was like a cave beast. He was, a degenerate. Read Job 30 verses 1 through 8. That was Esau back then. Okay? But Rome is this beast that had a deadly wound by a sword and did live. So when we go back to Revelation 13 and 14, and it says that they shall make an image to the beast which had a wound by a sword and did live. Basically, this is the society, the system we live in today, through America. All right, remember, because that word image is icon, which means a figure or likeness of anything. Through America, we see ancient Rome, Look at this, the architecture of these different governmental buildings. Let me just look it up, Parallels of America and ancient Rome. Slovakia. It says, I'm going to just read some. Parallels between America and ancient Rome include their founding as republics with representative governments inspired by Rome, the creation of powerful militaries, and the development of extensive infrastructure like road networks, right, which is government and politics, expansion in military, society and culture, right, potential decline, all of that, right, etc. You know, another, some other examples of, like Rome, which had state arenas and had a famous Colosseum. America had stadiums. Chariot races. Rome had. America got NASCAR races. They had gladiator fights. America has these football players and all of that running to each other. Hey, even MMA, UFC, boxing. You see, etc. Okay. Rome had a Senate. America has a Senate. All right. The different architectural structures of government buildings look like ancient Rome. So this is Rome coming back, man. And Emperor Nero was a what? A Roman emperor. Okay, he was in that seat of being a ruler, basically. Okay. And Trump is here in America, ruling in it. Okay, and as Nero was called a tyrant, Trump is being looked at as a dictator. So one, this shows America, man. All right, this is Rome. This is Rome coming back, man, for real. Okay, but I wanted to make that clear. But now it says ancient sources depict him as cruel, corrupt, and indulgent. And overall that is Esau in general. All right, but this is specifically talking about Nero. And Trump, you see him, making all these draconian measures, man. Okay, Revelation 13 and 11. And I beheld another beast, America, coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, your Republican and Democratic Party. And ancient Rome had what? The plebeians and let me just get it. Plebeians and patricians. I'm trying to say Slovakia. Plebeians and patricians. In ancient Rome, patricians were the wealthy, aristocratic upper class, typically wealthy landowners who historically held most political and religious power. Plebeians were the common citizens. So you're thinking now about, Republican versus Democrat. Republican, and Democrat is, Jake and all of that. You see? But it says plebeians were the common citizens, farmers, craftsmen, and laborers who formed the vast majority of the population and initially had few rights. Okay, so like ancient Rome back then, America has two political parties, which are the Republican and Democrat, right? It says, and he had two horns like a lamb, because they act like they're beneficial to you, right? It says, and he spake as a dragon. Okay, because in first, like a lamb, they act like they're beneficial to you, because what? They just act like they're beneficial to you, especially when they're when they're campaigning, to get in office, trying to make people vote for them, right? But it says, and he spake as a dragon, which is dragon goes back to basically draconian measures, which come from an Athenian lawmaker by the name of Draco, right? Or you could say Dracon. Oh, that's it. It's a lot. Or you could say Dracon. He was known for making harsh measures, harsh laws and stuff for the most minute offenses. All right. And Trump, was making harsh laws, man. All right, deportations and all of that. You see. I seen something. I gotta look into it. So let me not just mention it. I don't want to make a lesson on it if it's lesson worthy, but nevertheless, going back, it says, where was I? So was Nero a tyrant? It says, ancient sources depict him as cruel, corrupt, and indulgent, with notorious acts, including the murder of his mother, 2 wives, and the persecution of Christians after the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD. See? Fuck, Slovakia. So, he, the Great Fire of Rome, let me just see about that real quick. The Great Fire of Rome began on July 19, 64 AD. The fire started in the merchant shops around Rome's chariot stadium, Circus Maximus. See, they had chariot races and all of that. It says, after 6 days, the fire was brought under control, but before the damage could be assessed, the fire reignited and burned for another 3 days. Okay. says, who was accused of starting the Great Fire of Rome. Legend has long blamed Nero for a couple reasons. Nero did not like the aesthetics of the city and used the devastation of the fire in order to change much of it and institute new building codes throughout the city. Nero also used the fire to clamp down on the growing influence of Christians in Rome. See, so he basically persecuted, followers of Yahushua in Rome. He persecuted them, man. See? And Trump also said when he was, before he officially got into office, he said what? He said, there are prophets that say the world is going to end in the Middle East. Who else says that, man? Besides us. He knows about the Hebrew Israelites, man. Trump knows about us, man. Okay, that's no big, thing. He knows about us, all right? It's only a matter of time, till, basically Esau in general makes his move, man, okay? But the persecution of Hebrew Israelites in this time is coming. Oh, yeah. All right? See? So, going back, right? So, he blamed the fire on followers of Yahushua back then. It says, while some evidence suggests he was a competent ruler initially and took steps to rebuild Rome after the fire, his later actions and the biased accounts of historians solidified his image as a debauched and tyrannical figure. Okay? And you can read more. All right? But, let me read this. It says, the Roman populace and the Praetorian Guard later came to regret that they had lost such a liberal patron, but to his subjects in general, Nero had been a tyrant. And the revolts, and that's the thing with Trump, you got a lot of people that like him, and you got a lot of people that don't like him. It says in the revolts, his misrule provoked sparked a series of civil wars that for a time threatened the survival of the Roman Empire and caused widespread misery. All right, so I was meditating on this. Lord willing, it was edifying to the elect. Trump definitely fits that that Isaiah 19 about him being a cruel Lord and a fierce king. The Lord is giving these American people into the hands of. Okay, and Nero, Emperor Nero in the past, aka one of Trump's past reincarnations, was also a tyrant. Considered a dictator as well. So with that, giving all praises, but the Lord is going to destroy Rome, man, very soon. So with that, giving all praises, honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that were well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect. Shalom to the elect.